Oops. All right, good evening, everyone. Once again, my partner in crime is not here, but she will be on her way shortly. Please welcome Dr. Sarah Thomas.
Woo-hoo. Everybody, thank you so much for having me on, Kristen. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it's so exciting to have you on as our second guest for the show that Letizian and I decided to start in January. So we are super excited to have all these people. And not only those who inspire us, but hopefully inspire others. And I know when I was introduced to you back in 2018, you had maybe 20 books out? Do you remember?
Probably not even, probably like, I don't know, like 5 or so. Yeah. So,
And so you've just grown. Like now it's just like I got to start using 2 images to start putting all the books on.
yes, and thank you for those images. Those are great always to show, like, our covers and our titles. I absolutely love that. So thank you so much.
Oh, no problem. No problem. Okay. So, one thing that we talk about the idea of rising and inspiring is who has inspired you as you went through all your journey?
Yeah, I've been fortunate to be inspired by so many. I first and foremost got to give a shout out to my amazing PLN or PLF, professional personal learning family. I mean, I've just been blessed to connect with so many great educators like yourself and like our viewers, for the past, goodness, 8 years now, since I first got connected. And I mean, it's changed me professionally, it's changed me personally. Like everything has just kind of come full circle, and there's always more to learn and grow. So I'm excited, looking forward to the many years ahead. And let me see, other than that, also my family I have to thank. They've been there with me through the good times, the bad times, and there have been some really bad times, where I was kind of questioning my purpose. What am I even doing here in education? But it was a steep learning curve at first, but my family's been there with me through the ups and the downs, and yeah, family by blood and family, just by connection as well.
Well, that's awesome. I understand how the PLN and all that, the PLF works. I mean, it's amazing how you can talk to so many people and be so connected. And yet I have never met you in person. I talk to you all the time, but we've never actually met.
Right, and that is, like, mind-blowing because it's just like, wow, when you just said that, it's just like, we really have not met face to face, and that's just, like, one of those Mandela effect type things, you know? It's just like, how could this be? But yeah.
And I was talking to Michael Earnshaw, and he's only like an hour from me, and I've
Mhm.
never met him. I've talked to him, but I've never met him, and it's just weird how we don't end up meeting. Because I mean, the conference is right now at a halt,
Right.
um, but it's just so weird. Even if there's a conference I couldn't go to or meet someone, you talk to them all the time. You feel like you know them, but it's like you've never met them in person. So that's kind of like so weird how educators can just get so connected with each other
Yeah.
and never meet, but still feel like they've known each other for years.
Exactly. Yeah, that is so true. Like, I know I always talk about my one friend Vilma in the Philippines. Like, we have never met face to face. She's like on one side of the world, I'm on the other side, and I don't know if we'll ever meet face to face, but I mean, we talk all the time, and I feel like if we ever do meet, then it'll be like, seeing your old best friend from childhood, you know? Yeah.
Well, I hear you. I hear you on that one. Um, so I know this is probably going to be a long time because for me, I'd have to think too. But is there an educator or an administrator, someone who inspired you growing up before you went to college and all that to kind of gave you that inspiration of what you want to do?
Oh yeah, definitely. Like there have been I've had some really, really great teachers, especially in elementary school. I have to say, who my elementary school was just phenomenal. Like I wish that they could just like replicate that, you know. It's weird because it was like so ahead of its time for the 80s and 90s, but I mean, it's just like if we could have more schools like that today, you know. But it was very like internationally minded. It was very like hands-on, you know, students were learning authentically, as authentic as you could be, like in the late 80s, you know. And I mean it was just phenomenal. So such a great school and a great culture. And I would say like in high school as well, you know, my chorus teacher really helped me to find what I could latch onto, you know, that was special to me, you know, and really nurtured my passion for music and made me take it seriously. So definitely him and so many other great teachers I've had.
That's awesome to hear, and I love when, in fact, one of my old students works at our school,
Mm.
and I was in a breakout room, just her and I. She's like, "Do you remember me?" Once they say that, um, I knew, like, okay, I know I had you as a student. Like, once they say, "Do you remember me?" Because otherwise, why would they say that?
Right, exactly.
So now I'm trying to think. Oh my gosh. Okay, and I had to be honest. I'm like, no, I don't. I looked at the name. It was I just didn't know. And she's like, well, it was like 2008. I'm like, okay, wait a minute.
I love that. Oh my gosh. I love that. Running into former students is the best, especially when they're educators now themselves. Like we had one as well, like I would say it was pre-service week, probably school year 2019. And there was this young man, he was probably like 23, 24, fresh out of college. And the whole time that we were like presenting on whatever it was, Google Classroom or something, and he just kept staring at me. I was like, why is this kid staring at me like that? And then like at the end, he's just like, did you teach at blah, blah, blah school? I'm like, yeah. And he's just like, do I look familiar to you? I'm like, what's your name? And he told me, and I was like, whoa. So that was nuts. But yeah, that's always cool to run into students.
It really is, and the fact is that they actually talk to you and say, how you remember. It shows that you'd inspire them in some way,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, for
'Cause,
sure. Sure.
if they didn't inspire you in any way, you wouldn't like. I'm not going to talk to that person.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, that is the truth. So that's always a gift when we can run into them again.
So there's one quote that, or we were talking about quotes last time with Letizian and I, and we were talking about what's our favorite quote. Do you have a favorite quote, either that you made up, that you live by, um,
Mm,
from a book, a song, even? Like mine is
yeah.
the Lorax.
Mm. Okay, what's your quote? Tell me your quote.
Oh, I gotta look it up, but it's if you don't do it, no one else. It's not. That's not the quote. I have to look it up now.
I got you.
Now I have to look it up. So
Oh man, I'm sorry. I put you on the spot.
I was trying to do that to you. So
Oh, hey, it's all good.
we'll just kind of keep talking, and nobody knows that there's a break or anything. And I'll just be looking down.
Right. No, no, but I feel you though. I feel you. There's
Right.
a couple that I was
Unless,
yeah.
unless someone like you cares an awful whole lot, nothing is going to get better.
Oh, I
It,
love that one. That's a great one right there. That is a really, really great one. Yeah. There's a couple that come to mind for me. Like one of them is in a book I read a long time ago. And I think that it might be like an old proverb or something. Well, it can't be that old. But it said it said life is like a photograph you develop from the negative. So
oh wow,
yeah, I thought that was cool. And there was also a line in a TLC song that said, if you search deep enough in your soul, you'll always find a slight reminder of me. So I like that one. Yeah.
that's pretty cool. We should get like a whole bunch of different quotes and just start putting them together, and see if we can get anything, and see if anyone just kind of like connects them, or has the same one. It'd just be interesting how people think.
I like that. Yeah, that would be really cool. Like take a quote, leave a quote.
Oh, I like that. That'll be the new quote.
Hey, yeah. Let's make it happen, right?
Make a quote, leave a quote. There you go. Okay, so I know Sarah Thomas. Letizia knows Sarah Thomas. but I don't know if everyone else knows Sarah Thomas. So, who is Sarah Thomas? Dr. Sarah Thomas.
Hmm, man, how to even answer that question? I don't even know. Like a lot of if I'm speaking about today, Sarah Thomas is a hot mess, but uh, no, but I'm a regional tech coordinator. 16th year in education. I've taught every grade from first to 12th at some point, as well as in the master's program. Founder of Edumatch and all of the little squiggly arms of Edumatch as well. And let me see. Other than that, daughter, sister, wife, friend, cousin, yeah.
And you just recently got married.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Many
Yeah.
people knew. I didn't know until it was like, hey, she's getting married. I'm like, what?
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
It was
Yeah.
also full of secrets.
Yeah. Yeah. 2020 was had some bright spots in it. Yeah. It was a tough year, but it did have some bright spots.
Well, that's always good to know.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank
All
you.
right, so we'll talk about Edumatch Publishing. So obviously I got into it from a friend who introduced me to Mandy, who introduced me to you, and then we got the ball rolling on that. I know you're the CEO of Edumatch, but it's not just a company to you, and I know this because we all see it. It's more than just a company. It is a family. I know that's so cliche to say, but it really is. But how has Edumatch like inspired you, your own company that you started? How has it just inspired you from getting other people as authors to seeing how it goes out to seeing people buy the book? Like, how has it inspired you from what you created from the ground up?
Yeah, so like it's been a really interesting journey. Like none of the like if you had asked me on September 26, 2014, would any of this like have happened? And I would have been like, no. But like it started out just kind of I mean, quite honestly, it started out somewhat as a joke. Because like the night before, I was helping a friend move who was like moving across the country, or well, not across the country, but like midway through the country. And so we went out to celebrate and got like margaritas and tortilla chips. And we're just like, hey, there should be like a match.com for teachers, and so we were just like kicking around this crazy idea, but we were joking. But the next day, I was on Voxer with another friend, and we were talking about gamification in math. And so I had a cousin who used to teach math, and he was using fantasy sports and stuff like that. I was just like, you and my cousin need to meet, talk shop, bring in our other friend, and see what y'all come up with. And I was just like, wait a minute, why isn't this a thing? So I made a Twitter account, started connecting people, stuff like that. As people signed up, then they're just like, why don't you do a Voxer group? Why don't you do a podcast? Why don't you do a Twitter chat? Why don't you do an ed camp? And it just kind of and just kind of going off of that. And so I would say like my biggest like one of the biggest benefits for me is I've been able to be a fly on the wall to a lot of different conversations and get to hear a lot of perspective and get to know a lot of people. Like I'm surrounded by very smart people that I'm listening to through these different social media channels, and just growing by just by proximity. So yeah.
It's just amazing. Just in the couple of years that I've been with it, it's just amazing how it's just blown up with so many different authors and so many books being published. Like, I remember when I got started, it was like, within the year from start to finish. And now it's like going on 2 years, but because you got so many projects and so many people in waiting, which is great.
Thank you.
It,
Yeah.
it just means that a lot of people are seeing what the potential you have to offer them. So in a way, you've inspired them to write and to come to you and to, be part of the family. So it's just amazing how it just grew in a matter of just a couple of years.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah. And I mean, it's all because of people who have brought their amazing ideas and their personality. Like we've all built this together, and as people join, we continue to build. So it's just I'm just so thankful and grateful for you, for all of our authors, for everyone in our Edumatch family. Just yeah, it's it's been a wild ride and hopefully many more wild rides to come. Yeah.
So, thinking about going with our whole theme with rising to inspire, where like I always hated having this asked me like, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Where do you see yourself in 10 years? What do you want to be when you grow up? You know, I'm gonna ask one of those questions. Where do you see yourself going in 5 years with where you're at now and how you see things going? You know, are you going off in a different direction? Do you, I mean, obviously you want your company to grow, but like how do you see yourself not only inspiring yourself through what you do, but inspiring others?
Man, I would say when just now when you asked me that question, that reminded me of that Netflix Black Mirror movie, Bandersnatch. Have you seen that one?
I have not, but everyone tells me I got to watch it.
Yeah, yeah, where it's just kind of like a choose your own adventure type thing, like one choice leads to a different path. And I kind of feel like that's, it can go many different ways in the next few years. I've got some projects that I'm working on personally, professionally, and you know, I absolutely just love where I am, love what I do, and I'm open to seeing what the future has in store.
It's just great. It's just, and when you said that, I was thinking of Robert Frost's poem, "The Road Not Taken."
Oh, yes, absolutely, absolutely. Yes, indeed.
It's just the fact where you kind of you see yourself, and when I was in grad school, they gave have a piece of paper and you write your career goals and your personal goals, and then you kind of see where you're at in 10 years. And I've had students do that, and students actually, I think graduated about 5 years ago, actually still had that piece of paper to see where they would be, to whether or not it was accurate or not. So
That
it's just
is
pretty
so
cool.
cool. That is so cool to be able to look back on that. Yeah. I had written stuff down when I was, like, 15 about where my life would go, and now I can't find that thing for the life of me, but I can tell you I did not end up on Real World, so, um, so, yeah. So that's one thing I remember from the paper.
Well, then now you got to go for Big Brother, since that's the comparison to the real world
Yeah, there you
is
go.
the show.
Yeah, maybe that.
No, but it's just so interesting when you do something like that, when you write down where you think you're going to be. Like, I thought I'd have my PhD by now, and so many times I would have gone back, and I just didn't, because I figured if I get it, where am I headed?
Mm, mhm.
And so it's one of those things where you're kind of like, I'm good at where I'm at, and if I move forward, that's great. But if I don't, that's still fine.
Right.
Um, so, and obviously with many schools being, in lockdown from remote, my son's finally going back to 5 days a week, coming Monday. So I'm really
Mm,
excited about that.
okay, okay.
We're heading back into hybrid. So, I mean, schools are starting to open up more, which is great, because kids, need to be in school. I see my son, he needs to be in school.
Mm,
And teachers are starting to just get burned out, just from, like, I've been sitting for the past 9 months teaching because I can't stand and teach
mm,
like I'm used to doing. So think about, being a teacher and going through all this, through your experience, through everything that you've learned. What would be something you would help others, or would you tell others teachers that might feel like they're getting burned out and just like, okay, I call it quits, I'm done, this is the year, I'm gone. Um,
yeah.
just because this is the first for all of us. None of us have seen this.
Right, absolutely. And a lot of people unfortunately do feel that way, and I know that this is a challenging time. This past year has been, a very difficult year. So I definitely empathize with anybody who might be feeling that way. Like, as far as any advice or wise words, I'm kind of lacking in that department, because I feel like we all kind of have our struggles and we're trying to make it through. But I guess the one thing I could say, and I'm sure people have heard it before, so it's probably not going to make any difference coming from me, but just making sure to take care of themselves, fill their cup. Like I can speak for myself and say that I do better on days when I follow my routine than days when I don't. When I'm off my routine, then the whole day is trash for me and it affects everything. And I know that that's just a small, tiny, tiny piece of the puzzle, but for me, it does help to, definitely block off time for myself so it's not go, go, go like all day long. So that's the little bit that I can offer.
Well, and going with that whole idea, where when have you ever been challenged where you had to rise up, like you had to like dust yourself off, kind of like rise from the ashes, like the phoenix, and rise up from where you're at, not necessarily to be successful, but just to, I guess, be normal throughout the day.
Yeah, that feels like it describes my first few years in the profession. Like I came from alternative certification, so I had a bachelor's in radio, TV, film, and I learned very early on in my undergrad that I wanted to be a teacher. Like I had always wanted to be a teacher, but somehow I lost sight of that. I think because I saw what my older brother was doing. I was just like, oh, this is cool. I want to do this. So, I went in for that. But my mom started teaching high school like my sophomore year and my sophomore year of college. So I went in and started volunteering with her and helping out and things like that. And I was just like, this is where I need to be. And so by that time, I already had like half my coursework done. I'm like, I'm not switching majors, but re-enrolled in grad school, came down the steps one day, saw a flyer on the wall. They were looking for teachers in the nearby school district. So I was just like, all right, cool. Let me apply. And
This is like the Wizard of Oz. Ignore the kid behind the curtain.
yeah, yeah, but
That's another thing from home. You don't get any privacy. The door's closed, but yet it's still open.
oh man, that is super cool. It was really cool to see him. Yeah, yeah, but I mean, like, I long story short, I applied for this alternative certification program, which was very well done within the parameters that they had us, which was like for the summer. But I jumped the gun. I decided to place myself in my own school instead of waiting for them to place me. And I was young, I was kind of impatient, immature. But when I got there, then I found out very quickly it was not the ideal fit, and it was an unsustainable environment. That first year, then I transferred to another school, same thing, it just was not the right place for me. Those were some very, very, very difficult days, in terms of what I was up against, in terms of school culture, in terms of my own mental health, and just feeling like, just internalizing a lot of it. And so it almost took me out. Like those experiences, I almost left the profession because they were really, really bad experiences, but fortunately, the next school I went, the principal was amazing. I only stayed there for a year because the school was in year 4 of a restructuring plan. So the following year I went to another school, and that school I actually just the principal really just trusted in us, and really helped us shine with our strengths. And that's where I stayed for like 7 years, and that's where I really got to grow. Like my energy went into growing, not staying out of trouble. Like I wasn't walking on eggshells for one of the first times in my career, and that's really what allowed me to be better.
So it's just to kind of keep trucking through and find your own inner happiness.
Yeah, yeah, totally, totally. And find that good fit. Yeah.
We were talking in like a group with some other educators, and I said one day I'm going to have yoga session with my students. They're like, you should do it. I said I'm going to one day. They have to turn their cameras on, because they're all like black screens with their names.
Right. It's hard to correct the posture. Yeah.
I say, I see you there. Stop doing what you're doing.
Oh man.
So if you think about it, there's so much that we can learn from and obviously rise up from earlier on last year of being quarantined to being locked down, to getting your necessities to putting things on hold because, as an educator, we have like a curriculum, but you kind of just, we didn't throw it out of the way. We just kind of pushed it aside to get to know the kids and make sure they're okay. Because even though we had a hard time getting through it, like my 11-year-old, it was really hard. Like just the fact that he's in the house all the time and then he's going to school was just like he comes in and out, and it's to the fact like, okay, we need to have some kind of structure, some kind of goal ahead of us. And it's interesting how we're able to adapt in a way to get through it, and then hopefully all the schools will open up again, and then just we can get back to our normalcy of some type.
Mm.
It was interesting that you said you got into broadcast because my degree is actually in journalism.
Oh, wow. Yeah, small world. School of C.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
got my degree in journalism. I worked for a newspaper, and then I left that. And then I heard I could start subbing with a bachelor's, and I started liking it. I wanted my own classroom, so I went back for my master's and my teaching certificate. So it's kind of weird how just like fate just kind of throws it at you and say, "Here's your opportunity."
Yeah, you gotta take it, yeah. It doesn't knock twice usually.
Oh yeah, I hear you on that one.
Yeah.
So we talked about the PLN and the PLF on Twitter and social media. If you can name, and I mean, I know this is kind of like one of those things like, oh gosh, I don't even know who I can name because there's so many.
Oh, man.
you know, you're like, don't ask this.
Oh, man.
But if you can think of some educators to follow on social media that would benefit teachers who might have been burned out, first year teachers, retired teachers, administrators, someone that inspires you that maybe other people don't follow. Like for me, that inspires me is Joe Sanfilippo.
Yeah, he's
I
awesome.
met him in 2015 with Jimmy Cassis, and Todd Whitaker and Jeff Zool at a conference in Illinois, and it just blew my mind. Like,
Yeah,
I talked about this before, but if it wasn't for them, I might have quit earlier in teaching just because it was that time. But everything they said, they're not talking as an administrator or as someone who goes to different conferences, but they talked on your level to the fact of I've been there.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. They're very inspiring.
So who do you feel like would inspires you, or that others might be inspired by if they have that burning question or that part where they just feel like giving up, that maybe would help motivate them to see a different perspective of things?
Oof, man. Yeah, like you said, there's so many.
You
There
know?
are so many. Okay, I'm gonna cheat a little bit. Okay, so I'm gonna cheat and say if you go to the Edumatch Books Twitter and then look at our list, and we have a whole list of content creators on there. And I mean, like, there are some amazing, amazing people on that list. Man, if I'm gonna give out shout outs, okay.
And it's my fault, so if someone doesn't get mentioned, it's all on me. You can send me a DM later or something.
Well, I'll say that I just mentioned about maybe 80 people, so hopefully those 80 people are good. And also on top of that, I'll give out some you're talking about like feeling inspired and helping you to go on, right? And
Yeah.
I feel like I would be remiss if I didn't just give a shout out to the team, because I mean the pandemic has really really made I mean it's really taken a toll on everybody. It's affected everyone, and one one thing with Edumatch, I would say that teamwork has really made the dream work in terms of keeping it going. So I want to give a shout out first to the Edumatch publishing team. So Mandy Freilich, Director of Author Success. We have Dr. Datul and Toya, who is the acquisitions editor. Melody McAllister, the logistics manager. Martine Brown, managing editor. Alyssa Frazier, children's book consultant. And also, I'll give a shout out while I'm giving shout outs, I'll give one to the board for Edumatch Foundation Inc. So the VP, Tara Linney, treasurer, we have, oh, I'm sorry, I should have said secretary first, Tammy Neal, fundraising officer, Dr. Tatul and Toya, wearing two hats, and also treasurer is actually my mom. So Marie Thomas, shout out to mama. So
Hey guys, gotta always have mom in your corner there.
oh yeah, yeah, for sure, absolutely. Yeah, she actually inspired me to be an educator, so I have to give her a huge shout out for that. And she was in my corner, you know, like really, really helped guide me through those tough times. So
And that's always great to see that, especially, knowing that not only your mom helped you, but she's also still a part of your life in this way.
yes,
That it's not that, you got your career, married and you're off on your own, but she's still there backing you up, still making sure, that she's a part of whatever you're doing. So that's
yeah.
awesome. Love that.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah. Oh man.
I have a feeling Letizian is not feeling so well since she had some
Mhm.
surgery this morning. So
Yeah,
I don't think she'll be
definitely.
hopping on today.
Yeah, I hope that she's feeling better soon.
Yeah, me too. I'll have to try to give her a call later or a message and see how she's doing. But
Mm,
I know she really wanted to talk to you, so she might be reaching out to you sooner or later.
okay. All right. Well, I look forward to that for sure.
So, any parting thoughts on helping others? If you had to leave one thought, like when I tell my students when they write their essays, the conclusion, the last sentence has to be that interesting thought, that last thing that they want me to remind about their paper. If I read nothing about their paper, that last line is going to make me remember it. What would be your last line?
Man, my last line would probably be not to be afraid to seize the magical moments. You know, when you see an opportunity come around, an opportunity to potentially make a change in your sphere of influence, then to take it. I mean, it might be scary. It might be you might think that nothing's ever going to come of it, but I mean, you could be wrong. Like look at what happened with Edumatch. Like I thought that it was just going to be like this thing that would be a joke for the weekend. And no, no, it's taking on a life of its own. So absolutely, just find whatever needs are present in your sphere of influence. Find a solution and scale them. So
So the next thing you're going to learn from yourself is not to make weekend jokes.
right, exactly. Yes, I will take weekend jokes seriously.
Well, who knows what's going to happen next week? There might be something else coming up that nobody knows about.
Exactly. That's a good point.
Well, I appreciate you coming on and having a chat with me, and hoping others were able to be inspired by you. And then as they listen back on this, love having you, Dr. Sarah Thomas from Edumatch Publishing. Can't wait to see more books coming out, and I hope everyone has a great night.
Thank you so much. Good night. Thank you.